RawCast. RawCast. The first completely free, unbiased, independent and everything else goddamn show on the internet and everywhere else. Yeah, wow, this is RawCast episode number 10. Ladies and gentlemen, in-betweeners and outsiders, how the hell are you? This is RawCast episode number 10. We're here along with our green elephant. You know that old trope is like a don't think of a green elephant. Yeah, here it is. Don't think of a green elephant. It's here. He's here. She's here. Whatever. Don't think of a green elephant. Think of something else. Think of RawCast. How has your week been? How has everything been? Are you good? Are you fine? Are you dandy? Here at RawCast, we are perfect. Everybody. You know, the drill directors, boomer, whatever. We're not going to go through that shit again. Everything is cool and dandy, everything is fine. This is a Thursday. This is the 5th of May. I don't know, is there anything important about the 5th of May? Is there something fucking going on? No, there's nothing absolutely nice going on. Well, everything is important, obviously. Every day is special, obviously. There's no distinction. Somebody is placing distinctions there, saying, this is important, this is not important. Everything is important, you know, all the days are important. So everything, we can, you know, glorify everything and say everything is absolutely brilliant. There's no doubt about it, and there's no way for us, and there's no need for us to discriminate in any sense, form, or way. So yeah, this is the 5th of May, 2022. It's a Thursday, not a Wednesday, a Thursday, but whatever. This is RawCast. We do whatever we want to do, whenever we want to do it. So yeah, 5th of May, nothing of extraordinary importance happening, but everything is of extraordinary importance that is happening. So yeah, today what we're going to talk about abortions. Abortions, obviously. Who doesn't want to talk about abortions? It's our favorite subject. Abortions here, abortions there, abortions in the United States. There's a bit of upheaval going right now in the United States. Obviously, there's a bit of upheaval going everywhere. You turn on the news, you go into different, news sites or whatever. You see, this thing happened and it's so important, and the people are outraged, and it creates some form of dissent and some form of. There's supposed to be like a dialogue going on, but there's no dialogue. It's just two opposing sides barking at each other. Basically, not even barking at each other. It's two opposing sides sitting on their respective castles, and they're just shouting. I don't know. It's like they're shouting down to their people, and their people go, yes, obviously, yes, you are correct. This is it. This is it. This is it. You are right. Yes. The other side does the same thing as well. Everybody's screaming. The green elephant is sitting here just saying, nobody's actually right, and nobody's actually wrong. But there's a bit of upheaval going on right now in the United States. Why do we care about the United States? We don't really care about the United States. We don't really care about any other country, place in particular. We just I don't know. Just sometimes, not always. Sometimes we're just following whatever the fact is going on, and whatever the fact is going on, this is going on. There's a bit of upheaval in the United States about abortions. There's supposedly this decision at the Supreme Court of the United States, the SCOTUS, that came out in 1973, the famous Roe versus Wade case, which, we are not familiar with the details, with the sordid details, but apparently it justified women that wanted to terminate their pregnancies. So, it wasn't a free reign on abortions, but there's abortions with, under conditions from what we understand. So there was this leaked document. I wonder who did it. We wonder who did it. Sorry about that. That informed the general public that the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, is about to overturn that specific decision, that specific case, thus turning again abortions illegal at the federal level and giving the option. Basically, just throwing the ball down to the individual states to decide on their own what they're going to do. So probably if this thing gets overturned by the Supreme Court or the SCOTUS, it means that the individual states are going to have to draft their own legislation, and their own legislation is going to go on and say, we permit abortions in our state, or we don't permit abortions in our state. And in the end, there's going to be like a new wave or trend of travelers going, I don't know, in each state or whatever. I don't know. There was this. The Canadians came out and said, well, if anybody in the United States wants to have an abortion, they can come over to us because we are liberals and such or whatever, and we allow abortions under conditions, obviously, as always. So the case, yes, it's abortions, and should abortions be happening, and who's right and who's wrong or whatever, and why exactly is this so much, I don't know, there's this fuss going on about abortions. And borrowing a line from the beloved George Carlin, well, I'm going to paraphrase, obviously, we are going to paraphrase, obviously, because George Carlin was saying that there's humans talk about this thing. This is George Carlin's words. He was saying that humans talk about this thing called the sanctity of life. And obviously, when humans talk about the sanctity of life, they're obviously referring to human life. Because obviously, that's the only kind of life that matters. Yes? I think we can arrange another sort of form of protest. Somebody's going to come out and say, human lives matter. And somebody else is going to come out and say, no, all lives matter. And they're going to say, and the first group is going to come out and say, well, what do you mean? Like cats' lives matter as much as humans? And we're going to create another debate. It's going to go on forever, and humans are going to be outraged. Obviously, you cannot put us in the same place as cats and dogs and I don't know, Jesus lizards. Can you? Jesus, can you? You cannot, obviously. It's self-evident that humans are the prodigies of the universe, something like that. When you are the one who's making the decisions about yourself, you can call yourself whatever the fuck you want. Obviously. So yeah, Carlin was talking about this thing called the sanctity of life, which obviously applies only to humans. So humans, they think that human life is sacred. All else lives are not sacred. Obviously, we catch, breed and slaughter other animals and other plants for our own pleasure, amusement, obviously and for nutritional reasons. We're not just sitting here saying that humans, just go around mindlessly slaughtering other species and no, this never happens. It never happens. We only do it because there's a specific reason. Either we want to feed ourselves or the other party has done something really, really bad. Capiche? Obviously. So yeah, the sanctity of life. So humans think that human life is sacred. Obviously, humans don't think that human life is sacred when there's a war going on, or when there's hungry people going about, or when there's people with special needs or something like that. Or there's always there is a caveat in the sanctity of life. But generally, the sanctity of life, yes, life is sacred. Carlin goes out and very nicely answers this dilemma and says, obviously, humans consider life sacred because there is a self-referential need there, self-interest, because they're talking about their own lives. So if they're talking about their own lives, they're thinking, well, my life has to be sacred because I don't want to die. I don't care if any other motherfuckers die, I don't want to die. So my life is sacred, and since I'm a human lives are sacred, with exceptions, with caveats. So yes, self-interest. We could say that life is sacred, but that would mean that all life is sacred, which opens up a whole lot of cans of worms or whatever you want to call it. Or we can more conveniently say human lives are sacred and have all these distinctions and fights about and continue slaughtering animals and plants and fish and anything else. Because human lives are sacred, not all lives. All the other lives are there to serve humans. Yes, right? Obviously, they Green Elephant says that that's correct. No, it doesn't say that. We say that it's not correct. So yeah, the sanctity of life. Don't have abortions because lives are sacred. And where does life begin? In the womb, outside of the womb, after you leave, after you come in. There is an argument that says that, life cannot exist in the womb because a fetus of whichever, I don't know, age it is, half a month, 1 month, 9 months, 3 months or whatever, can't actually talk, can actually defend itself, can actually vote, can actually do much, hasn't got a name, hasn't got a license number, what you call it, a national ID number or a passport or something like fucking bullshit like that. So yeah, so it's not a complete, doesn't pay taxes, so it's not a complete human. So you can't really say. There are other arguments say that when we are born and when we are die, on our tombstones it says date of birth and date of death. It doesn't say date of conception and date of, I don't know, when your bones have rotted away. Anyway, people say it's complicated. Obviously it's not complicated. Pregnancies could and should be aborted if the party that is responsible for that pregnancy, i.e. the woman who is pregnant, and maybe also the guy who got that woman pregnant, do not, for their own reasons, want to raise or have that child. Now, if they don't want to raise or have that child, then that child is going to be an unwanted child if it comes to the world, either from those people or from the people that are going to take care of it, which is usually some national municipal foster care home, or if that child is lucky, which usually is not, a foster home where whatever. So again, it's going to be an unhappy child growing in unhappy conditions. Now, the argument here is not every pregnancy should be aborted because of X and Y reasons. Obviously, there are nuances there. We can discuss them, but generally, abortions could and should happen. There are plenty of reasons why things like this should happen, and it's not always because the person responsible, i.e. the mother or the father, are egotistical pricks. There are other valid reasons. And since this is a society which doesn't really care about human beings or any other being, because it just throws everybody in a mix and says, okay, here you are, you're on your own, defend yourself as best as you can, and if you can't defend yourself as best as you can, then you can go and eat shit and die. Since we live in that kind of a society, it's a bit of a stretch for somebody to insist that a baby or a fetus or whatever, a pregnancy, let's say, we don't call it a fetus, don't call it a baby or whatever, just call it a pregnancy. A pregnancy should be carried to term if there's outlying conditions and terms that don't apply. I mean, it's unfair, seriously, for somebody else to insist of having another life birthed into this world of shittiness. So if you insist that another child should be brought in this world of shittiness, the first thing that you should be doing is not debating whether women should have authority over their body. Obviously they should have authority over their body. The first thing you should be debating, or not debating, the first thing that you should be doing is building a society which takes care of all of its members. All of them. Takes care of them in a sense that keeps everybody happy, keeps everybody fed, keeps everybody equal. Nobody's above anybody else. There is no outlying conditions of competition or struggle for anybody. Nobody has to go through some hardship to attain what's basic and necessary. Nobody. And nobody should be in a position of power over anybody else, like the SCOTUS, and deciding who does what and how, with the exception of themselves or their rich friends, or you know the drill. Obviously you do know the drill because you are sitting here and watching RawCast episode number 10, and this show has come to its end and you can abort yourself safely.